Hey guys, CBHolo1 here. Welcome back to another video, and today we're in wide-angle mode. This is Lionel 6-38024, the Pennsylvania Railroad 6446 S1 duplex, also known as the big engine. So, if you couldn't tell by the part number, this is not the legacy S1. This is the TMCC era S1 that was made in the same era as the M1 that I love so much. It's like 2000 to 2002-ish, somewhere around there. Really big engine with really good sounds, and I honestly prefer the sound set in this engine over the legacy one, but this isn't my engine. This is a friend of mine's again, and it's in my shop. Well, it's on my workbench that's in the bedroom in my apartment for a driveline issue. When I was testing, on the same day that I was testing the G3, which that video should be out, I was also running this thing, or going to, and we went to go move it forward and it just made this terrible noise. So I put it in reverse and it ran just fine. So I'm guessing that there's a worm gear or mount or something that's loose in this engine, but I haven't taken it apart yet, so we're gonna find out. But that's why it's here. So let's power it up. I'll show you guys what our existing state is, and then we will start trying to fix it. Alright, let's get some power. Tender buzzes a lot. I don't know why. Maybe because it's new. I'm not sure. It's programmed to engine 1, so. I'm also just realizing that I don't really have this marker light. Do I have the one on the other side? Now let's turn this down a little bit. This thing's loud. So, yeah. Really good sound set. Another trivia fact, this engine never had a steam whistle on it, because it was designed to operate too quickly for it. It had to be equipped with a diesel horn, so I believe it was equipped with the Leslie 200, which sounded something similar to this. So, that's neat. But the whistle on this does sound really good. So, anyway, let's, I'll start it in reverse so you can see what I mean by it moves one way. It does have Odyssey speed control, 2 chuffs per revolution. It's got the synthetic duplex offset chuff. But as you can see, it's running just fine in reverse. Now, if I switch it into forward here and I go to move it, it doesn't want to go, so I'm going to mute the sounds here for a second. I'll try it again. I'm not sure if you can hear it on the video, but it sounds like the worm gear is skipping on the drive gear. So hopefully it should be a pretty easy fix. But let's take it apart and find out. Well, this is awkward. It doesn't really fit in the cradle, but yeah, whatever. So 4 screws that I removed. There's 2 back here, and then there's 2 in the front set of cylinders. And because Odyssey, or because TMCC era, and most newer engines now, the whole thing just lifts out. So let's see if I can piece together what's going on here. So just looking at this quickly, I noticed that there is a ton of play in this front drive shaft section. I'm going to take the motor out and disconnect this just to isolate these 2, and then just rotate the main drive shaft by hand. To see if there's any binding with the worm gears, or if this is in fact the only issue. So the 2 screws are on the bottom. There's a 3rd screw hidden by the rear truck spring. But the motor's loose, and there's the drive shaft. Alright, so the drive shaft out. I mean, there's a little bit of play, but I think that's just the play in the dog bone between the first gearbox and the second, the leading gearbox. But it doesn't, the gears feel fine. Can't rotate them by the drivers because worm gears and physics. I think the issue is just the dog bone for the motor is too short. So I got to come up with a solution for that, and I'm thinking, just off the top of my head, if I put a spacer inside of one of these or both of these cups, probably the lower one, it should prevent this dog bone from sinking all the way in to the joint here, and that will allow this to make good contact between the motor and the driveline. Alternatively, there's a set screw in here, and I'm wondering if I can just pull the flywheel out slightly, because it wasn't missing by much. Well, coming from RC cars, that was easy. So, can I now pull... Oh, I can. Oh, sweet. So that's the flat. So this just needs to get pulled out a little bit. So it was almost flush. So let's pull it out to, well, I don't know, say like there. Okay. Call that good, and then I have to remount the motor. You could do this without removing the motor, now that I know that the set screw exists. I thought that the flywheel was press fit onto the motor shaft, similar to the G3 that I just did. But although the G3 didn't have a flywheel, it had the thing for the belt, whatever you call that. Sprocket? No, that's gears. I don't know what to call it. I'm sure it's got a name, and me being a mechanical engineer, I should probably know it, but I don't. Alright, dog bone's back in, and there is almost no play in that shaft at all, and normally that would be a good thing, but I don't know if I want it being that tight, so I'm going to pull this out just a little bit, give a little bit of motion in that drive shaft, and that should just help it wear a little bit. That way there's nothing's loaded when it's going back together. And speaking of going back together, let's drop this thing back in. Actually, yeah, let's drop this thing back in. And because I am overly confident that I have solved the problem, I will put the screws back in. So that when I didn't fix the problem, I can take this whole thing apart again. That's not where those go. Got to put the spring back in for the rear truck pivot. All right, that's back in. Rear body mounts. Okay. Wow, this thing's heavy. All right. Oh my goodness. I'd really like to shorten this drawbar. This drawbar is obnoxiously long. Back on the test track, this is what I mean, by the way, about this massive gap. These would almost be touching each other on the prototype. So I don't know if there's a way for me to shorten this, at least not easily. I'll take another look at it here in a second and see if I can figure something out. But for now, let's see if I fix the issue. So let's fire it up Nope, engine 1. I need to put power on the track. Let's roll it out here. Oh, I forgot about the markers. Whoa, okay, alrighty. That's wrong. I may have pinched a wire somewhere. Call it a hunch. Well, I need to take the shell off anyway. So, whoop. Okay, well, I guess I'm doing that now. Alright, so I got the shell off. I'm trying to see what would be messed up to cause that issue, but I genuinely cannot tell. I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to try switching off Odyssey and see what happens. Okay, I turned off Odyssey. Okay, so now it's running just fine. Well, I'm still hearing like a hopping. You can see it jumping. Question is it a side rod issue? Or is it a gearing issue? It feels like it's the front driver. Very perplexing. I guess I'm gonna dig into it here, and I'll let you guys know what I find. So I just disconnected the side rods on both sides, so this front wheel now just free spins, and it's running super smooth. So whatever it is, it's something with this front axle set here. So at least I've localized the problem. So now I just got to figure out what exactly is driving it. So I'm sitting here playing with the running gear, trying to make it smooth, and I realized the problem is back here. So I moved this a mile away from the actual motor. Now there's a shim in here, and I thought that the shim was interesting. And apparently this is a sensor. And when you look at it, yeah, that makes sense. There's a magnet on there. So this is just like the encoder rings that they have on modern legacy engines. But right now the magnet is so far away that the Odyssey sensor and the motor sensor here can't detect it. So I need to move this flywheel back towards the sensor so that I can regain my Odyssey. So let's do that. Odyssey has been restored. There's still that clicking up here in the front axle, and I don't know what it is, but I think it's good enough for now. I was thinking about the drawbar, and as much as I want to shorten it, I don't know. We still have to design this guy's layout, so I'm not entirely sure what kind of curves this thing's going to have to negotiate. Its minimum curve is 0.72, and that is a strict minimum limit for this engine. I wouldn't even dare run it on 0.63. So that's what we're going to try and stick to, but I don't know if 0.72 is a limit because of the length of the distance between the flanges, or if it's a minimum because of the gap between the cab and the tender. So until I can look at it on 0.72 curves, this is how it's gonna be. All right, shell's back on. I did take another look at the running gear, and the valve link on the engineer's side was bent upward. So I bent it back, and it seems to have fixed some of the problem. It's still a little bit present, so I'll dig in a little bit more at another time. But for now, I think this is where this is going to be for the video. I'll tweak the rest of the stuff off camera because that's fiddly and I don't want to record that. But before I let you go, let's do a full sound demo of this locomotive.
Pennsylvania 6100, you are good to go.
So there you have it. That was my relatively quick repair of this Lionel Pennsylvania Railroad S1 duplex. It's quite rare when I actually get these repairs done in a night, so this is quite refreshing. But yeah, overall, this engine is absolutely fantastic, and it's massive and heavy, and it sounds really good. It's got an operational backup light, which is neat. They didn't just light it up with red like they did with the Mountain Class, but whatever. It's got lighted rear lights, or lighted rear class lights. It's got lighted front class lights as well, except they're not lit well. I did look at them, and it's just, the design is just bad. I could probably put some 0402 SMD LEDs in here, because I have some, and it would light it up a little bit better, but I'm just going to leave it original for right now. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you all found this at least a little bit entertaining, maybe something a little bit educational. And yeah, anyway, I am CW Hollow 1, and have a good day, or maybe good night in your case. See ya.